What is up, YouTube? Today I want to talk about fixing your motivation and happiness and how it all ties down to dopamine. Mostly, fucking, I hate this chair. What I will talk about in this video is the learnings and insights I learned from the book Dopamine Nation. I really recommend to read this to everyone, and part of the video also will be on my personal findings, what I saw, what actually helped me. So in short, everyone thinks that the dopamine is responsible for like your happiness, and it's a happiness hormone, but that is the wrong way to think about it. The way you should think about it is that it's responsible for your drive, motivation, and for wanting more, right? So you will get happiness, let's say, from scrolling on social media, but you can also get a happiness from from a gym workout, right? From working out. Both of these activities will give you happiness, but it will be very different kind of dopamine, because when you, let's say, eat junk food, right? You eat donuts. I love donuts. When I eat one donut, I get a dopamine hit, but this dopamine hit doesn't mean pleasure and happiness. It means I want more. My body releases dopamine to motivate me get more donuts, right? So that's definitely a bad thing. When in the gym, I get a good release of dopamine because I worked hard to achieve the pleasure. That's the main difference. So basically, if you master your dopamine, you can really achieve everything. And for a long time, I thought, no, that something is wrong with me, that everyone else, seems so happy, doesn't has any anxiety, and can achieve everything they want. And I thought that something was wrong with me, and I was always looking like for this one answer, and I always thought it was something to do with supplements. So I tried like millions of different supplements because I thought I was broken or something like this. And it was like such a big realization for me that's honestly, it's just all dopamine, and how powerful this hormone is. So I've decided to do a 30-day dopamine detox because I truly believe like 95%, 98% of all of your problems, if you really think about it, it all comes down to dopamine. It really is. So create like a 30-day schedule list. Specifically, author in the book says that 30 days is the least amount of time you should do that for. And what I've really seen people struggling with is that they put too much of constraints of them. They do the 30-day challenge that is way too difficult, and they just fail, right? It makes sense. When you just go to the gym for the first time, you can't bench 225. You can't. That's just way too much. Of course, you will fail and you will say, "Oh, I failed. Now I will never go to the gym again." No, that just doesn't work. Just start with benching the bar itself, which is like 45 pounds or 20 kilos. Everyone can do this. So same concept here, right? Start like with the easiest. Where's my shit? Right in here, start with the easiest stuff. Even here, have very, very easy stuff. And first of all, please focus on eliminating bad things. So that means like, no social media, no junk food. Come on. No junk food. And just basically think, what is it that's currently the biggest capping factor for you, right? So right in here, in the first 15 days, eliminate the bad things. Eliminate what you know is bad for you. That might also be no TV. So these are three different things, and don't try to stack them up in the beginning, in the first time. For the first week, just eliminate social media. For the second week, have no social media and no junk food. For the third week, also the third one, right? So just do it gradually, because in the beginning it will be very, very difficult for you. I always thought before doing this challenge, just, oh, I can just uh, start it as hard as possible, and in 30 days I will be absolutely unrecognizable. My dopamine system will be balanced so well. I will feel like a Superman. I will do all of these things, and first day is fine. On the second day, I absolutely crash and I hate my life and I just want to kill myself. That's how it goes for everyone. So really, just start by eliminating bad things gradually. Then on the 15th day or on the 16th, start adding like this pain exposure, cold shower, fasting, and exercise. Most likely you're already doing exercises, but start adding cold shower and fasting. I think that will be a really, really good thing. But before you add any of that, make sure that you have eliminated all the bad things already. Because it might take you more than 15 days, it might take you 30 days, it might take you 100 days to eliminate bad things first. And it's really important to eliminate them first because it requires less input. Imagine if you just slept on the bed the whole day, right? You just slept the whole day through. You can still check mark the day as you haven't done any of the bad things. You get the idea? It's much easier to eliminate the bad habits in the first place because you can just sleep the whole day and you can check mark it. Because I understand we all have our own lives with university and job, and it can be very stressful at the time. And whenever you get more stress at job, you can just really easily say, "Oh, fuck it. I'm not gonna fast. I'm not gonna go to the gym. I'm not gonna do a cold shower." But it's like the best thing to do it in the morning. But you get the idea, right? Then reflect on your feelings. How does it changes, right? So recently, I've struggled with binge eating, and I've struggled with binge eating in the past, and it disappeared for some time. But in recent week, it came back to me again, and oh my god, I felt so horrible. I was just eating everything I saw, and I was like surprised how much food I can actually take in. I probably ate like 8 to 9,000 calories without like even trying hard. It was just so easy for me. Like really, I can eat a lot. And I honestly felt horrible. And it all started with one little thing, like one donut. It leads to like three donuts, and after you just went to this huge, 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 big downward spiral, and nothing can really stop you. And trust me, it all starts with a very small thing, and it just increases worse and worse and gets worse and worse. Trust me. So don't even don't even start with a small bad thing. And I was really feeling very terrible because I needed another stronger, bigger, faster dopamine kick, and I was going to the worse and worse habits back again. And I realized, wow, I'm like at a really bad point. So just after a couple of days, of eliminating social media, eliminating binge eating, eliminating the junk food, just after 2 days, I felt so much better. Like without even thinking about it, I remember it was yesterday. I just sat at the office and I thought, wow, like I feel so much better. Like I feel this constant state of happiness just because I got rid of my bad habits. So just reflect on how you feel, and you will be amazed how powerful this actually is. One of the most important things I can recommend you is probably to shift your mindset. So in this book specifically, the Dopamine Nation, there was done a study. Don't really remember right now the specific details, but when on the study, they asked people with addictions and people without addictions to tell about their future. Like, what do they imagine? And people with addictions talked about the future as in the next 10 days. And when they did that, their amygdala, I think it's called like amygdala, like this part of the brain was active, which is responsible for your emotions and feelings. And when you asked people without the addiction about their future, they more thought about the future in 5 years. And this part of the brain was more active, prefrontal cortex. And prefrontal cortex is the actual you. You understand? That's like the CEO of the brain. In other words, that is your actual consciousness. That is you with your goals, with your ambitions, with what you actually want from life. So this is actually you, and this is part of the weird looking part of the brain, looks like parasite. Um, it's this actually part of the brain that tells you, oh, get that, get that quick dopamine hit, get that donut, eat that pizza, scroll on the social media. That is what is telling you to do all of the bad things. This part of our brain is responsible for all these unhealthy dopamine habits. This is telling actual you to do the bad things. So why are you listening to this? When I realized this, I was like, wow. So all of the time, I was just this part of the brain, and I was taking orders from this part of the brain, which is not actually even me. So like, who am I? That's who I am. You understand like how powerful this is? It was like a big mindset shift for me because I always thought that it's actually me who wants to do the bad habits. It's actually me who wants to eat that pizza even though I know it's bad. But no, this part is actually me. This part wants to get a better physique, but this part of the brain tells me to eat pizza, donuts, and snort cocaine, all of the stuff. Uh, so you don't really have to listen to that. You can observe that feeling, you can observe that urge, but it's up to you how you will react in this. So this is actually a very very important part. And this pleasure pain seesaw is in very precise details written in the book. So it always have to come to the balance, or how they call it, the homeostasis. So when you do all of the bad habits, you're weighing on the pleasure side, but this thing always has to be balanced. Always has to be balanced. So what it comes next is these little gremlins come on the pain side, and then it balances out. But for it to balance out, for it to be balanced, it has to go down, right? When it goes down, you actually feel more pain, and you will feel pain for a longer time than you've been feeling pleasure for. And now, when I have a choice and I have this urge from this part of the brain to do any of the bad habits like scroll on social media, I always think that eventually I will have to come back to the balance side, and it will be very painful. When it will be painful, I will want a stronger dopamine kick, something faster, something more intense, and it will just all lead to the same downward spiral, which is very bad because eventually that's exactly what will happen. And I really recommend to everyone to read this book. Before reading this, I listened to audiobook summaries for like a whole hour, and I realized like, wow, this is actually very powerful. I know what I need to get from this book that I didn't get from audiobook summaries. So that is like actual actionable steps which help in practice. And you will also see the stories of the people which are in like way worse situation that you are in, and that actually allowed me to understand, okay, like my problem is not that detrimental as for some of the people with their stories in this book. So I might actually I might actually get saved. Really recommend to read this to everyone. And thank you for watching.